MinIO just announced maintenance mode for their community edition. Now, look, I get it. Open source has to be financially viable. Companies need to make money to pay their employees who feed their families and so forth. I'm not here to even pretend that everything should be free forever. However, the way you handle this transition really does matter. And MinIO, they've pretty much just shown us every which way you should not do it. Changing your license is totally fine, or at least can be totally fine. Plenty of projects have done it, some have done it well. However, we always remember the ones that don't. In 2019, MinIO started quietly switching all the licenses on their auxiliary projects to AGPL. Still an open source license, not a bad license, but not as permissive as their original Apache 2. Then in April 21, they changed the core server license as well. The problem? There was no heads up, no discussion. They just pushed the commit and hoped that nobody would notice. Fortunately, people do notice. That's not how you build trust. It's not how you build community. In fact, it's how you burn both very, very quickly. Now, enforcing your license is also completely valid. If someone is violating your terms, you have every right to act. Going back to 2019, there was a case of MinIO versus Nutanix. They got contacted in 2019. There was 3 years of private negotiations that, to the best of our knowledge, went nowhere. So in 2022, MinIO went very public, very aggressively. What I will say is at least they did try, and 3 years is quite patient, you know? They tried to do the right thing the first time round. Fast forward though, and there was the case with Weka. And this is a completely different story. MinIO just dropped public acquisitions on a Friday afternoon, no less, with zero contact with the company prior. They revoked their license, revoking an open source license, and then had to awkwardly walk it back just 1 week later when they realized, hold on a minute, we can't actually revoke an Apache 2 license. Now, Weka said this was just a publicity stunt, and they're probably right. But industry experts and a friend, Adam Jacobs, said, and the link is below, this should drive everyone away from MinIO as a standard. And you know what, Adam, it's spot on. If this is not a red flag, what more do you need? Now, the issue here isn't enforcement. It's the whole shoot first approach and ask questions later, which again, trust, humility. You cannot mess this up. Now here we are in 2025 and MinIO decides to focus on their commercial product. And that is a legitimate business decision. Again, sustainability is important. But here's where they fucked it up as well. In May, they gutted their community product, removing most of the functionality from the web console with no communication, no warning, no discussion. They took everything away except for the ability to browse objects within a bucket. And guess what? You can have those features back. You just have to cough up $96,000 per year. What? Now, people, the community, raised their concerns on GitHub. And what did MinIO do? Of course they fucking did. They locked the threads. Let's fast forward to October. What did they do here? Well, again, this is recent, it's fresh. We're all aware of this story. They stopped publishing Docker images. And again, that is a good, sustainable decision for people that need and depend on your project to get them to pay. But this also happened with no announcement, no communication, no discussion, no community. Users discovered this when there was a very bad CVE where everybody had to patch this ASAP and MinIO did nothing about it. Now, they could have done something about this, and I was vocal about this on LinkedIn too. They had only started publishing the images 1 week prior. They could have made an exception in light of a huge CVE, cut one more release and said, there you go, community, we got your back. But they didn't, and they fucked it up. And here we are in December. The project is in maintenance mode. How did people find out? Through a commit to the README on the project. Now, clearly you see the pattern here. It's not what they're doing, it's how they're doing it. They're keeping the community in the dark. The community are finding out after the fact. And whenever the community asks questions, they're being silenced and shut down. Open source sustainability is hard. I genuinely have a lot of respect for companies that are trying to make this work. But transparency isn't optional. Giving people notice, explaining your reasoning, and when people push back and if they push back, don't just lock the thread. Sit at the table and bring your community with you. This is not rocket science. MinIO had 1 billion Docker downloads. They had community goodwill, community support, and they spent it all by treating communication and trust as an afterthought. So where do we go from here? Well, the writing was in the sand. Adam Jacob told you, red flag, move away. The only recommendation I have for you now is to go check out SeaweedFS. It is a fantastic project. I hope it serves you well in the future. That's all I got. I'll see you next time.